item 1, commission staffing, from the agenda, and we will not be voting on that today. And let me share with you why I'm going to be pulling that particular item. It doesn't mean that we're not going to vote on it at some point, but there are real issues that I believe that there's got to be some merit to it. And I hope that by pulling this issue, that it will send a message to the commission that before we approve any more money for staffing, and I read the analysis, and very clear saying that they're not able to get to a lot of the cases, but currently right now it doesn't appear that they're addressing the current cases. And I'd like to understand from their perspective what they're going to be able to do before we approve additional funding. I'm not asking for a lengthy report, but I would hope that you would go back and be able to share what took place today and come back to this body and help us understand what is going to be different if we move forward with additional funding and staffing. So we're not going to vote on that today, and we'll take it up at another time. Thank you for your time. There's no action on this item and no action that will be taking place on the commission staffing today, and we'll bring it at another time. If there are any questions or comments from my colleague, but I think as chair I wanted to make that decision, and I hope that this body is okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take the vote.
Okay, we're going to establish a quorum. Take the roll, please.
Campos,
Here.
Holden, Lackey, Rodriguez. We have a quorum.
Thank you. So we're going to take them all at once, unless you would like us to pull any items. Does anyone like for us to pull any items? If not, we'll take them all at once. All right, we're going to take item issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, issue 5, and issue 6. If there's no objection, we'll vote on all of these at once. Can I get a motion? So moved by Assemblymember Holden and second by Assemblymember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
For clarification, the vote is on the staff recommendation on vote only items 2 through 6.
Correct.
All right. Campos,
Aye.
Campos, aye. Holden, Holden, aye. Lackey, Lackey, aye. Rodriguez, Rodriguez, aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're on item issue 2, Judicial Branch Budget Overview. Okay, you can start when you're ready. Who's going to start? Okay.
Anita Lee with the Legislative Analyst's
Thank you,
Office.
Anita.
So staff asked us to provide a little bit of context for what you're going to be hearing today related to the judicial branch. We've prepared a handout which will guide our comments. Looks like this. It's called Trial Court Funding. It has 3 pages. Related to this issue item, we'll be covering pages 1 and 2. And then the final page of the handout, page 3, will be covering as part of the next issue item. So if you turn to page 1 of your handout, we first tried to provide some insight into judicial branch funding and how trial court funding fits into that. And so the governor's 2016-17 budget proposes $3.8 billion in total funding for the judicial branch. Of this amount, about $1.7 billion, or 45%, is from the general fund. Funding for trial court operations is the single largest component of the judicial branch budget, accounting for approximately 4/5 of total spending. In the figure before you on this page, you can see that total funding for the trial courts has steadily increased since 2012-13, the year in which ongoing general fund reductions to trial court operations peaked at $724 million. Funding for the trial courts is proposed to reach $3 billion in 2016-17. Of this amount, about $1.3 billion, or 45%, is from the general fund. This is an increase of $130 million, or 5%, from the 2015-16 level. Turning to page 2 of your handout, we provide a summary of recent augmentations that were provided to the trial courts. And it really breaks down into 2 categories. So first, $472 million was provided in base augmentations and fund transfers. So since 2013-14, the state has provided a total of $237 million in general fund base augmentations for trial court operations, $60 million in 2013-14, $86 million in 2014-15, and $91 million in 2015-16. These augmentations reduced the ongoing reductions to $486 million through 2015-16. Additionally, about $235 million in various actions were taken to help the trial courts accommodate these reductions on an ongoing basis, such as ongoing transfers from judicial branch special funds. These actions further reduce the ongoing reductions that need to be addressed by the trial courts. Second, $192 million in other general fund augmentations have been provided to the trial courts. And by providing these augmentations, effectively the impact of the ongoing reductions are prevented from getting worse. And so first, the state has provided $82 million for increased trial court health benefit and retirement costs, $43 million in 2014-15, and $39 million in 2015-16. Second, the state has also provided $66 million to backfill declines in the amount of fine and fee revenue collected to support trial court operations, $31 million in 2014-15 and $35 million in 2015-16. In 2015-16, the state also provided $44 million to address increased workload related to the implementation of Proposition 47, to reduce dependency council caseload, and finally to expand a telecommunications network infrastructure program. And so the final page we will be addressing as part of your next issue item.
Please proceed.
Good afternoon. Zlatko Theodorovich, Director of Finance for the Judicial Council and the Judicial Branch. We first want to say thank you to this body for providing the augmentations over the last several years to increase funding for the branch and the trial courts in particular. And we do appreciate the amounts that are proposed in the governor's budget to continue that movement forward in increasing access, returning access throughout the state. We are looking forward to working with you through this process to ensure that the stable funding is provided to the trial courts and to the entire judiciary so that we can provide access necessary to California citizens. I think I'd probably prefer to reserve any comments about the specific issues as we go forward, since they are agendized in what's the materials before you.
Department of Finance.
As far as the overview at this point, we support the governor's budget and look forward to working with you going through the process.
Are there any questions from members at this time in the overview?
I just had a real quick
Yes.
question about the backfill
Mr.
decline. I'm trying to understand the reason for the backfill decline. It says the amount of fine and fee revenue collected to support trial court operations. Why is there a decline?
First paper filing fees, which are sort of your initial effort in the civil process, have been declining over the last several years. What's difficult for us to determine exactly why it is because we don't have the sort of understanding as to why folks aren't coming to the door. But one could suggest that we've increased, possibly. We've also, as part of the backfills to budget reductions that occurred during the Great Recession, we increased filing fees. So there's a thought that there's a certain balancing act between what it is that the fees would propose to generate and the fact that there's a change in behavior by filers. And so it's possible that we just have fewer folks coming into the door and paying those fees, and therefore there's an erosion. Also, there's another fee reduction related to criminal penalties, and there's a $40 court operations assessment that's also been declining. So between the civil filings and some of the criminal filings, we've had an overall reduction in revenues coming into the Trial Court Trust Fund. In order to preserve the level of effort, we need to have the general fund backfill to keep that base of revenues stable.
We would also add that the issue related to criminal fines and fee revenues and state funds receiving that revenues, there's just been a decline. It's been impacting other funds as well. You'll hear about some of them at future hearings. So to give you an example, you will be hearing at a later hearing an issue related to POST, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Board, related to POTIF, and they have a fund that's called POTIF, the Peace Officers Training Fund. And so there are a number of funds that are having some difficulties related to declines in criminal fine and fee revenue.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, then we'll move on to public comment.
Hi, my name is Fatima. And just recently, the United States Department of Justice just issued a memorandum, a Dear Colleague letter on March 14, 2016, stating that they're going to give trial courts or the courts in each state about $2.5, I believe it's $1 million, because basically indigent litigants are subjected to these unnecessary fines, fees, incarceration, so on and so forth. So basically, I oppose this recommendation.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Stephen Nash. I'm the Executive Officer for Contra Costa Superior Court. And like all courts in the state, we've been hammered over the last several years. We're down 23% staff-wise where we were several years ago. The immediate impact of that was long lines, delays, reduced hours, huge backlogs, ended night court, and all kinds of other things for the public. Since that time, in the last couple of years, we've been working very hard, and we've been able to restore public hours. We've reduced backlogs. We've eliminated most of the delays. We've expanded and improved many of our services. We've actually been able to reopen night court. This didn't happen because we're budgeted well. It happened because you have a lot of staff, and our judges are working very, very hard. We're revisioning how we do business. We're implementing technology where possible, but we are very, very lean. This leaves us in a very precarious place. The budget right now, there's two big holes, two things that worry us in the courts. Number one, there is no funding for staff salaries. Like most agencies in the state, most entities that are funded by the state are funded for employee compensation. The courts haven't received it in years.
Wrap it up.
And so that, and also our revenues are falling. Our civil assessments since October 1 fell off the cliff, and we're looking at a $1.8 to $2 million hole in our court, which would absolutely be devastating if that's annualized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Harold Hopp. I'm the presiding judge of the Riverside County Superior Court. I'd like to talk to you about two things in the overview. One that's briefly mentioned, I believe, in the third paragraph, and that's the governor's proposal to transfer up to 5 vacant positions from courts that perhaps have more judges than some other courts do to courts that are severely underjudged like ours. Our court, since I've been a judge, and that's been over a decade, has been down about 50 judges, and the numbers have varied. Sometimes it's been a little more, sometimes a little less. But in the most recent statistics, we need about 50 more judges to do our work based on the type of cases and the amount of time that each case is required. The governor's proposal would be a good first step in starting to help us kind of dig out of that hole and provide better access to justice for the folks that live in Riverside County. But I would encourage you to also support SB 1123. Last year it was SB 229. That would fund an additional 12 new positions, not just relocate up to 5 existing ones, but fund an additional 12 positions. Our court would get some of those, probably San Bernardino would get some of those, and that's where those positions are needed the most. It's a cost of about $10 or $11 million, which I think we can probably afford in our budget. The other thing I'd like to emphasize, if I could briefly, the other thing I'd like to emphasize, our court has also lost a significant amount of civil assessment revenue, as Mr. Nash's court has. We, as a result, are keeping over 50 positions open. We haven't been able to fill them. We need to fill those positions, and so I'd urge you to backfill that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And, I'm sorry.
Thank you. You can take them. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Courtney O'Hagan. I'm an attorney in the Family Law Facilitator's Office in Contra Costa County. It is my job to help self-represented litigants navigate their family law cases. This is people who are in an emotional trauma and they need help navigating what's very dear to their hearts. We run out of help desk tickets on average every day around 11:30 a.m. The people who do get a ticket have to wait often for over 2 hours to get 10 to 15 minutes of help. We also, our daily workshops fill up every single day, and we turn people away on a daily basis. Our appointments to help get a judgment done are over 2 months out, and we also serve in many other areas that are just as impacted. There's a constant expectation for our office to do more with less. Every time we have to turn a litigant away because we've run out of spots for the day is a diminished access to justice. They can come back and try again the next day, but they are often taking an unpaid day off work to do so. State employees have received a cost of living raise in each of the last 2 years. By contrast, members of my unit have not had a cost of living raise since 2007. That's almost 10 years. The cost of living increase in the Bay Area is exponential and is continuing to grow. And we are professionals, we are attorneys, we have licenses and advanced degrees, and we want to stay in a job where we can help people and help serve the public. But every time we don't get the ability to get a cost of living assistance, it's even harder to continue to live in the counties where we serve. We are real people, and we help people every day access justice. We need your help to get cost of living raises, adequate staffing, and continue to do the work we do.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nancy Churko. I am a courtroom clerk and elected president of ASME 2700 Court Unit, representing 200 union members of Contra Costa County Superior Court. Except for a slight increase in trade for paying more of our retirement, we have had no raise in 7 years. We have worked understaffed and underpaid for 7 years. According to the Bay Area Cost of Living Index, since 2009, inflation has risen over 15% where we live. Inflation has risen 15% in 7 years, and our employees have not had a significant raise. We have employees who cannot afford their rent. We have employees who must go to their local food bank in order to obtain food for their families. We have employees who must pay necessary bills on credit. Governor Jerry Brown has been saying for the past few years that everything is great with the state budget. Last year, all state employees were given a 5% raise. Our county clerks were given a 10% wage increase package. The Deputy Sheriff's Association in Contra Costa County just signed for a 17.5% raise. Contra Costa County court employees are in full compliance with the PREPA law 2 years early. Yet, we are told there's no money for us.
Thank you for your testimony. If you can, and if not, you can submit it to the sergeant, and we'll. Thank you.
My name is Melvina Martin, and I am against providing the courts excess money because I know personally Kern County had an excess in their budget for filing fees for the indigent. Because I personally had to always pay in order to pay fee waivers for the fees, my court filing fees, when I had Medi-Cal, Social Security, because those were also abusive by the courts. And should you grant them, the courts, the money, I would ask and request that you mandate the court to provide with the money in their budget that they have court reporters in all family court hearings, because this will also facilitate a problem that we're all having with the Judicial Council of Performance, because then this way our records, well, I know some of my transcripts have been altered, but you'll be working with dual problems. But the courts must mandate, because they eliminated court reporters and your pro se litigants.
Testimony. Thank you. You may hand your written testimony, if you'd like, to the sergeants. Next speaker.
Okay, thank you.
If something has been repeated, please just add on to something we haven't heard. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. Michelle Castro, the Service Employees International Union. SCIU represents court employees in about 36 counties. While we very much appreciated the money that was allocated in the past few years and redirection of funds totaling $472 million, that was an excellent thing to do. However, there was two problems with that money. One, it simply was not enough to address the needs that the courts have. And two, not all courts benefited equally from that money because of a complex funding allocation that allocated more money to some courts than others. For example, Madam Chair, your court, Santa Clara Superior Court, hardly benefited from those allocations in the past years. But more money is needed. And we ask you, if you're going to allocate more money to the trial courts, to allocate it in a way that all courts will benefit equally, in a way that it's accountable, so that at the end of the day, the public knows where the money is being spent. And we also ask you for any allocations to dedicate that money to bring back court reporters into family law proceedings. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Yes, my name is Jim Wise from the Solano Superior Court. I agree with the testimony of all the folks in front of me in that, and I just reiterate that the trial courts do need more funding. The AOC holds back money for services that they provide to the court supposedly, but it shows in the reports and audit that that money is hardly ever used by these courts, and we'd like to have that directly back to the courts and implement like a fine fee for service type program. And also agree with that in the last few years, the state employees and other branches of the government have gotten raises, but the courts are left out year after year, and we do need to be compensated for our due diligence that we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Steve Austin. I'm the presiding judge in Contra Costa County. My court's share of the $20 million in trial court discretionary funding in the governor's proposed budget is only about $450,000. That's less than 1% of our operating budget. Won't even keep up with ordinary expenses, let alone have any for our employees to make a little more money. Our court employees have not had a cost of living increase for at least 7 years, some more, as you've heard today. At the same time, we've cut over about a quarter of our employees. So the people we have left, like the ones you see here today, are working harder and making a lot less in real dollars. You can't imagine how hard it is to walk down the halls of our courthouses, see these good people who I've known now, many for 15, 18 years, and know that each one of them has been left behind. Our employees should be recognized for the hard work and dedication that they have continued to show the court and the public, and they deserve more. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Joshua Golko with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. I'd like to align myself with the comments made by several of the speakers related to the impacts that these cuts have had on employees working in courts throughout California. AFSCME represents court employees working in Southern California and all the way through Northern California who are struggling not only with simple things like cost of living adjustments, but it creates very big issues with morale, as was just mentioned, recruitment and retention issues at the courts. And if we're serious about restoring access to justice, we need to make sure that the programs that were decimated during the Great Recession are being restored so that our court employees can provide the services that they are hired to provide. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Jonathan Soglin. I'm the Executive Director at the First District Appellate Project. We are one of 5 small nonprofits that are an integral part of the court-appointed counsel system for the state courts of appeal. The other half of the program, is the panel of attorneys for whom you approved a $10 an hour increase today for the direct representation they provide to indigents in the Court of Appeal. We are very glad to hear that you approved that and the governor included it. But the second half of the program is the appellate projects. We have not had an increase since 2007. In that same time, the consumer price index has increased 15%. And by way of example, our rent for just my office for the First District Appellate Project just went up 50%. We're in the Bay Area. The economy is booming. We're having retention difficulties with employees who can find higher paying opportunities. And we need to be able to provide the support for the panel and the courts in providing effective representation. And we are a core part of the program in doing this in a cost-effective manner.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Schlesinger. I'm the Executive Director of the California Appellate Project in San Francisco. We are the death penalty project for the California Supreme Court. Earlier today, the committee voted to approve the state public defender's budget increase. We are a counterpoint to that request. The agenda item discusses the death penalty representation system. It suggests, though, that the panel is a minor player in that. In fact, the panel is the predominant player in the system. The Habeas Corpus Resource Center and the State Public Defender's Office takes less than 1/2 of the cases that combined that the panel takes. The panel needs our assistance. In addition to the appellate work, we do the habeas corpus assistance. There are 300 men on death row without lawyers, habeas corpus lawyers, and they wait up to 15 years to get a lawyer. We need to be able to assist the panel to take those cases. They're not going to be handled by the State Public Defender or the Habeas Corpus Resource Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie Heimov, I'm the Executive Director of the Children's Law Center of California. We represent all of the children in the foster care system in both Los Angeles and Sacramento counties. Just want to speak in support of the request. The delays that we experience because of judicial backlog, because of backlog in the clerk's office, et cetera, not only affect the employees, as you've heard so much about, but they affect the families that are seeking to make their way through our judicial system. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Kaufman. I'm a family law attorney and also a longtime court reform advocate. I'm speaking regarding issues 3 and 4 and the request for $50 million. And I would like to point out that the LAO is asking for more information to determine whether the requests are consistent with legislative priorities. We heard today from so many people saying they're not being heard. California got an F in terms of judicial accountability, and I would like to suggest respectfully that the committee make judicial accountability a #1 priority. In 2005...
Thank you. Thank you. If you want us to read that, we'd be more than happy to. Thank you. Next speaker.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Kathleen Russell, the Executive Director of the Center for Judicial Excellence. I know we had a very heated panel just now, and there's actually one item that we agree with the CJP on, and they wrote a letter about it back in 2012, which was that we have a crisis in our court system related to access to justice because there are not enough court reporters, particularly in family law. So I'd like to echo Michelle Castro's recommendation about getting more court reporters back in the family law courtrooms. And I also am here to speak for the California Protective Parents Association, which also supports some of this $20 million. If there's $20 million floating around, it should go for court reporters in family law. People are losing their kids. And also judicial performance evaluations would be a great way to do judicial accountability. Thanks.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and committee members, my name is Catherine Campbell-Raffa, and I would like to ask for more accountability and to see some money spent on that and court reporters in the family courts. Thank you.
Our last speaker? Or is there another speaker after this? Our last speaker.
My name is Lauren Klein. I'm with the Legal Aid Association of California. We represent the nearly 100 legal services organizations operating throughout the state. And I just wanted to briefly say that the legal aid community supports this proposal because legal aid programs, too, have felt the impacts of the severe budget cuts to the courts. So we support an increase in funding. Thank you.
Ignacio Hernandez on behalf of the California Court Reporters Association, and just want to echo the comments about having court reporters in these cases very critical. Judicial Council did put out an analysis last year when there was a bill going through the legislature about how much it would cost. I believe it was like $2 to $3 million annually to provide court reporters in family law and domestic violence cases. So certainly there's a way to do it. We just hope that there's a will. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Did you want
Madam
to
Chair, just
comment?
one thing I wanted to add
Okay.
on. We have met with your staff last week, and we provided the judicial branch priorities. Just by reference, I want you to recognize additional trial court funding, judgeships, a dependency council, which will be an issue discussed later, appellate council, which was raised by the two gentlemen previously, civil assessment revenues. So, again, we provided this as our reflection of the judicial branch priorities, and your staff should have those and pass those on to you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd first of all thank you for the overview. Thank you for the comments from the audience. At this time, I would ask if we could entertain a motion to adopt the staff's recommendation on issue 3 and 7.